hello, and welcome to Portsmouth This Week. I'm your host, Conley Zani. This show is under the auspices of Rich Rayner, our Portsmouth Town Administrator. Together, Rich, myself, and the entire Portsmouth This Week team are on a mission to build community. We do that by bringing you accurate and timely information about the events and activities that impact you. We introduce you to the faces, the personalities, the leaders in this amazing town in which we live. I'm honored today to have as our guest Craig Clark, President of the Historical Society. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you very much.
I'm
Mama.
so glad you came on this show because more people need to know about this amazing organization and really get involved, right?
They really do.
Yeah,
yeah. And I can honestly say I am now the president of the association, obviously, but up until 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I probably hadn't set foot in the organization.
Are you serious?
I'm honestly truthful with that.
So you did, and you put your toe in, and now you drunk the Kool-Aid.
I did. You know, I think you spend your life raising your family and coaching your kids and getting involved in the community, and then all of a sudden you hit your 50s and you're saying, well, what am I going to do with myself now? I'm not at basketball practice or something. So I was looking for an opportunity to contribute again outside of work, and here I am. You know, it's got involved, and I love it. I love history in Portsmouth. I've always been a big advocate of what we live, and we see the stresses on the community right now with the development, and you see these beautiful old structures being taken down, unfortunately.
Right.
And the mission of the Historical Society is to really educate and promote history, so people appreciate that, the way that we just don't tear our culture down, basically. Yeah.
Well, give us an overview of the Historical Society and like how it's set up, where it's located. Really, maybe you weave your own story and how you got involved into that, right?
Sure. So the Historical Society was founded in 1938. We're located on the corner of Union Street and East Main Road. Yeah. In the old Union Church. Yeah. There's a Christian church.
Drive by it every day.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's a beautiful structure. Again, if you haven't been in, you have to come see the second floor and just what we have to offer.
What's on the second floor?
The second floor was actually the congregation that was created prior in the 1900s. Okay. So there's an actual church. Yeah, the architecture is fantastic with the tin roof.
All right.
And just to appreciate that.
Yeah.
But we have a wonderful collection of just a collection of different antiques and history of Portsmouth. That's really nice to share.
Okay.
But in addition to that, there's a lot of community outreach we're doing now and trying to get more involved, outreaching with the community. Like we're going to go to the Common Fence Point.
Yes,
with your group.
We cannot wait. So we've had Jim Garman come several times, and he packs the house. I mean, 100+ people come.
Oh, absolutely.
To hear this.
Right.
So that's cool.
Yeah. We just recognized Jim for 50 years of service to the to the town of Portsmouth, and to the Historical Society. He's been involved since 1974 in some form or fashion.
And I follow his. There's a Facebook where he puts up pictures that he pulls from the
Portsmouth Rhode Island
archives.
Historical Facebook group.
And he always poses it as like a little bit of a guessing game for people out there to be like, what is this? And then
that's what I love about it.
He schools us all.
No, that's the fun part about it, is you're seeing the interactions with people to see, I know it's over there, no it's not. And he gives them 2 or 3 days to try and figure it out.
Yeah.
We would love to, though, see if people haven't joined that site. It's the Portsmouth Rhode Island Historical Photo Club.
Okay.
I want to see more pictures from the 50s, from the 1960s of farming. And if you have old pictures of your grandparents or whatever.
So get those to you?
No,
bring them
just
by the
post them on Facebook.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think that
even easier.
Right. I mean, 1950s, 60s is history. Even the 80s right now. I'd love to see 1980s photos. I mean, we're changing so rapidly in the town.
Well, it's so great to make history fun. Mm-hmm. And you don't know this, but next week we have a teacher at the Portsmouth High School who's the U.S. history person. And this person, I cannot wait to talk to her. She tries to make it all come alive for the kids. And it's just really neat. I feel like we've got a theme going here, or there's a lot of push.
It is. And one thing that we're doing right now that we've been trying to get launched for the past couple of years, but this year we'll have our first, ideally 10 signs created. Bringing history to the streets is what we're calling it. So we're going to start at the most visible areas. At the Glen Farm, we have thousands of people that go there every year.
Absolutely.
So we'll have a farm, a sign, a traditional sign you would find every 50 feet in Newport. It's showing the Brown House, the history of his farm.
Yeah.
Down at the Taylor Barns, maybe at the Polo, we'll show the history there. Maybe
Yeah,
the
so when
jumping
you're
derby.
there and you're being like, what is this place? And there you go, you've got your
And what makes it
explanation.
unique? And the Brown House, for instance, what's unique about that? That may be one of our last remaining farmhouses in such an open space.
Yeah.
100 years from now, who knows what it's going to look like here, which I hope
Right.
not.
Well, you had said there's sort of, what's scary is we do have a lot of historical homes and now they're getting bulldozed or, what do you do about that? Or is that just the way it's going to go? Or thoughts on that?
Well, I think we need better zoning laws and some different areas, maybe some historical restrictions, ideally, but we need people to get more involved in that. It drives me crazy, honestly, when people will, oh, I can't believe they turned it down. We should form a group, or I don't know. They get involved too late, and
Right.
we would love to get more involved in those projects, but we need help to do that,
Yeah.
to help support grassroots
Right.
preservation.
So if I wanted to get involved, like certainly I need to step into the building and see what it's all about. What are other pathways?
Well, you can reach out to us. We just had a Portsmouth resident that's working on her master's in history at Northeastern reach out to us the other day from our website.
Yeah.
2023 was a very successful year for us. We held over 24 events and lectures, and we hosted over 1,500 people at those different events and lectures. And through those events, people introduce themselves and they want to help out and get involved.
It sounds like a very active group.
It is, but we can do more. But we're so stressed with the amount of volunteers. It takes a lot of toll. It takes a little bit of burnout.
Yeah, and so you see that would impact something like the hours of operation of that beautiful building, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's always it's a challenge with every group. Every nonprofit is always looking for help. But
Amen. Right?
if you have a passion, it doesn't have to be just about history. It's like if you love the town and you want to help educate people on the history of Portsmouth. And it's not just the buildings or whatever, it's just there's so much history when you walk down the street. We held our trivia night last night for I think the 5th or 6th year.
Yeah, okay, and where was that?
It was at the Melville Grill.
Oh, yeah, the Gulf Street.
The Gulf Street,
Yeah,
sorry.
they changed, yes.
Yeah, I know, a few years ago.
Yeah, right.
No, we had a great event. We had about 11 teams participated.
Yeah.
But just by having that trivia night, I learned more about the history and the fun facts.
I heard it came down to a tiebreaker.
It did.
You don't remember the question. We could pose it to our audience here. Give them something. Throw out a question.
It had to do with, what was one of the questions that was fun?
Yeah, well, any of the questions.
Well, here's a really tough one. I got this one just because I live near it.
Okay,
but
all right.
In the 1940s, there was a German spy captured in Portsmouth, and he was relaying information from an island mansion in Portsmouth.
An island mansion?
Mm-hmm.
A Portsmouth island mansion?
Yep.
Like on Prudence?
No, I'll give it to you. Hen Island.
Hen Island?
Hen Island. I saw this years ago. The only reason I pictured that one is because Hen Island is in Bluebell Cove.
Oh.
It's one of the 2 islands there.
Oh,
and
really?
We
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and we have one of the photos from when the mansion was there.
All right, so we had a spy.
We had a German spy in Portsmouth.
Wow, what did they do to that guy?
They caught him. I don't know what they ended up. They did catch him, and arrested him, obviously.
All right, well, so you took your team 1 point higher. On
yeah,
that one.
I did.
Awesome.
I did. Well, that was something that I never knew.
And hey, what was the name of your team? I hear everybody comes up with really funny names.
I was there with for my wife and 3 of her friends. So we were the ladies on the tramp. The same reason
this
she's on the board.
sounds like so much fun, and it's open to anybody, right?
Anybody,
come on
and
down.
we all have fun. There's no,
Right.
I think the last question was where did Jimmy Buffett last perform?
Oh, okay.
So I think,
I know that one.
So they're not all difficult,
Okay.
but we had fun, and I think we're trying to grow that a little bit more every year and just have some good laughs. It's a quick fun night.
That's terrific. So it sounds like 2023, like your whole last year was great. So what's in store this year? What's going on?
We have about the same amount of events planned right now with the talks and the
Okay,
lectures, and,
yeah.
and we're reaching out to the different community members. We're gonna sponsor with or work with Montauk Country Club. They're celebrating they just celebrated their 100th anniversary.
Yeah.
So we're gonna work on a talk together with those folks. We're celebrating our 85th anniversary this year for the Historical Society. So we're working on, at the end of the year, just talking about the history over the past 85 years at our annual meeting.
Which takes place when?
In December.
Okay.
December, first, second week in December.
Okay.
And a nice event again. One thing we're doing now after our talks, we're hosting just folks downstairs to meet the speaker. So we have snacks and some wine, and just it's people can come.
Super casual.
Super casual. We're also opening the museum at the same time as the talks. So we're trying to attract people for the talks and also just tour the museum.
Yeah.
You know, if you've never been to the southernmost schoolhouse, it's one of the top 3 oldest schoolhouses in the nation in Portsmouth. It was
Right here,
and
right
again,
here.
Here I'm supposed to know all these things, right? But I got the question wrong. When was that? When was it created? It was like 1725.
You don't have to get it all right, even though you're the president,
believe
right?
me,
You don't have to.
I was sweating. They were starting to give me a hard time. I was in last. We finished third. We finished a respectable third. But
That would have been funny if you were like the last, and you're like, well,
Oh, the 4 people.
I wasn't a good student.
Oh, 3 of the 4, they had no idea. They were from out of town. So.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a good laugh. But no, we're looking forward to the 2024, and 2 big initiatives are the sign project. We'd love to get folks involved in that if you want to help out with that. It's a shame. Like when you think about all the major points in town, we're talking about Founders Brook. We have some signage there, like here it is, but there's so much history of Founders Brook. I'd love to see a interpretive map of what the town of Portsmouth was in 1638 in relationship to Founders Brook. So there's that. There's the town pond. There's Bristol Ferry Landing.
Yeah.
There's Island Park. How many people understand why it was called Island Park originally? People.
I don't know. Do you know?
You don't know why it was called Island Park?
No. I'd love to
know. Well, back in, Jim Garman's going to correct me on these things, but I'll never hear the end of this one.
So he's not here. You can kind of say whatever you want to say.
1800, 1900s, around maybe 1910, that there was a trolley going up and down from Fall River right down into Newport.
Okay.
So they would create these what they call trolley parks. And the trolley parks were created so to attract people to use the trolleys.
Okay.
So the trolley park was created about that time, and it was in existence. So it's amazing. If you go on that Facebook site, you'll see a lot of those old pictures of the Island Park where the roller coaster was.
Oh yeah, and the horse. And
right across from Trembley's and the horse diving, everything else. Yeah. So that was in existence until 1938. So it went from the trolley park, and then a family named the Cashmans purchased it and ran it until 1938. But they had dance halls. It was a vibrant community down there.
Yeah. And one might say it's completely having a rebirth right now too. It's so exciting what the Preservation Society there is doing, and it's neat.
But that's what we want to do. We want to have a sign maybe at the entrance down at the beach area showing why it was called Island Park, and then maybe in front of Trembley's showing the park itself, and then down at so much history at the old stone bridge, where there was Howland's Ferry was there for years from the early 60s.
So I'm assuming on these signs there'll be a QR code to link to some interactive technology kind of stuff, right?
Exactly. There'll be that, and there's a lot of nice technology out there now for people to take a walk and to explore. So they'll go from our new website, which was a big accomplishment for 2023 as well. It's portsmouthhistorical.org. So if you want to volunteer, there's a volunteer page. You can add your name to that. We'll get right back to you.
Okay.
But you can see some of that history within our, what that is a map on our site which shows some key sites in Portsmouth.
I saw that for driving, that's really neat.
So we want to tie that in with the new signs that we're putting up. So then people can explore from one to another, from QR code to QR code, and learn. Just from the Glen Manor House to go from the Brown House and work your way, walk all the way down to the Manor House. It's a beautiful walk. I love that walk, and to learn along the way, it's just another bonus.
Right.
Even the history of the Manor House. We have our own mansion, and there's nothing outside for all those visitors that come every year to understand where that design came from, which is another interesting story, something I've learned in the past 4 years. It's like the Taylors They had a relative, I won't quote what it was, but it was a son or a nephew that was killed in World War I. And there was a mansion in France that they used as inspiration for the manor house.
Wow.
So that's a really interesting story to tell.
Isn't it?
Right. So the more you know and the more you understand about where you live, the more you want to protect it, don't you?
Absolutely.
You're right. Common Fence Point, there's a lot of history there. We'll get a sign up there.
Yeah.
Eventually,
Yeah. Well, you can talk to me about that.
Exactly.
I'm the president of that organization.
Oh, I know.
and
I know you are.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I'd love that there at the community hall. I'd love it in different places in the neighborhood. Like, there's some really important points there that important things happened.
Absolutely. From the very beginning, why it was called
Yeah.
Common Fence Point, right?
Yeah.
And just to see that history and the fish farm and the oil farm that was
Yeah.
there, or the oil factory, I should say, from the fish.
Yeah.
Because Jim talked about that last year.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It
I mean,
really
we could
is.
have a walking tour in Common Fence Point,
Absolutely.
right? So, all right, we got to talk.
Yeah.
We'll talk offline and make some more plans about that.
Well, that's been very successful for us. People love those events. Stephen Luce, he's a director of ours, that's been doing the Lawton Valley old cemetery tours. So if you haven't been down to Lawton Valley, I think we'll be doing it again this year.
Okay.
But it's fantastic, like places that you drive by every day and you don't
Yeah.
know the history there.
Right.
It's
You know
really-
anything about the cemeteries around here?
I know
Yourself?
not that much, but I'm
Okay.
familiar.
That's
I'm now
kinda
more
cool
familiar.
stuff.
It is. It is.
Right.
And that's something we're looking for help with. The town needs help with, there's money available right now in the town fund that's earmarked for cemetery rehabilitation and maintenance. And
Okay.
we need to come up with a good plan. The town planner is trying to work on one, but she's got priorities and she wants to.
Got a long list of things to do.
Exactly.
So I hear.
Exactly. But if anyone has interest in that, would love to get them involved somehow to help push that forward and start taking care of our properties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this is a giant call for volunteers. What else do you need help with? ADA accessibility. Let's talk about that. Right? What are the plans in store?
Well, we need money for that. So,
Okay, yeah.
So we have, last year at one of our events at the Manor House, we helped co-host the Manor House 100th anniversary. And one of our Portsmouth residents came up to me and just says, I'd love to come to your talks, I just can't get upstairs. So that was really dear to my heart there. So it's like, okay, we've been talking about it for a while, so we have to really make a concerted effort towards making that happen. So we have a plan in place. We have pricing in place for the lift and how to blend it into the outside of the facility. So it's going to be approximately $110,000 project. We have about $20,000 already earmarked towards that.
Okay.
But I think it's very achievable and doable.
It's definitely.
Oh, it is.
It is. It seems daunting, but.
No, I don't. No, it is. It's daunting, but very doable. If
Yeah.
you're committed to it, you're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
So we'll make that happen this year. Excuse me. I don't think I'll get it built this year, but raise
Right.
the funding this year
Yeah.
is my hope.
Yeah.
It's easy to talk about these things.
I know.
But you say it, you make it happen. That's how I like to look at
Right,
things.
and I know there's some good philanthropic organizations out there that support exactly that kind of thing. Accessibility is a huge
There are
deal right now.
Right, and again, even they're under stress. A lot of people a lot of organizations looking for the same money.
Yeah.
But
Well, if people, how do you get out into the community? Like, so let's say people can't kind of come to you. What are paths that you get into the community? I know you've spoken at Common Fence Point. Do you go into the schools ever, or
we're
what are
making
you thinking
inroads.
about that
We're
kind of
making
thing?
inroads into the schools. It's been difficult since COVID, obviously, but
Yeah.
we're doing more of that. We're working with the Battle of Rhode Island Association. They're hosting a history AP class on May 21st. They're going to start
Okay.
at the museum and then go to different battle sites for the Battle of Rhode Island.
Oh, that's
So
neat.
we did that. We hosted a.
And we had a battle right here, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was the largest in New England.
Okay.
And that's a whole other project. We could talk all day about that. But
I knew when you were coming on the show, I was like,
Well,
you and I could talk
yeah,
all day.
Oh, absolutely. Well, because in 2020 during COVID, we started the Buttsill Fort Restoration Committee.
Okay.
Because Butts Hill Fort, have you been up there yet?
I have not.
Well, we have to take a walk.
Okay.
From here, we can almost walk to it, actually.
Right?
Right. But Butts Hill Fort is the largest remaining earthen fort in southern New England. I think it may be the last remaining one in New England. No one can tell me which one's larger. So I should just start saying that until prove me wrong, right? So that's there, and the Butts Hill Fort Restoration Committee was started by the Historical Society. It got beyond our realm, and basically we launched it. It launched so well that it formed its own group, and now it's called the Battle of Rhode Island Association, to help educate again the whole battle, because the Butts Hill Fort was part of the battle, not the whole battle.
Yeah.
So that's where the generals were at Butts Hill Fort. Do you know, like the famous people, again, I've learned, Paul Revere was there.
Oh, wow.
Not during the battle. John Hancock was there. So I've said this numerous times. You know, when I went to the high school, I wish that I had known that, okay, we're learning about the Declaration of Independence, but, you know, John Hancock, wouldn't have been cool to know that he was on our property.
He was right there.
Right.
Well, again, Cindy Perry next week is like the teacher that's what she talks with these young people about.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a really unique like way to approach it, and again,
it really is. And
you have to introduce her to. I'm sure she's probably connected already, but
I'd love to meet her personally.
Yeah.
We met with the principal last spring, and he's a dynamic individual.
Oh, yeah.
And he's really into talking about the history and putting perspective into where you are at any given time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So of all these places, what's your fave?
Places?
Like, you know, you go on the tour, and like, you know, what if you had to tell people to go to one, or maybe that's not a fair question, but like what?
In Portsmouth, I don't know. I just love just the general scenery. I love the Glen and the farmlands, and you know, that to me is it's a treasure. You know, that's why everyone wants to move here, right? It seems, as I love the open space. When you drive down East Main Road, and you can still see the open space. And that's what's important to me, trying to maintain that as much as possible as we can. I'm glad that they saved some property on East Main next to the old Tom's Lawn and Garden.
Yeah.
But I love that, just the general feel of the area. But again, I hadn't been to Founders Brook until a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So
and isn't there a Founders Day coming up too?
It is on, I think it's
March 7th?
March 7th.
Yeah. What is that about?
Well, it's celebrating our founding in 1638.
Okay.
And we have our we have one of the compact on display.
Okay.
And we have our copy of the Declaration of Independence that was found, one of the original copies that was sent to every town in the United States. So there'll be, I think Greg Amore will be speaking again this year, Secretary of State. And
this will take place where?
At the town hall.
At the hall, okay.
And I believe it's 11 to 12. We'll be sending out notices on Facebook. It will be in the Portsmouth Times.
Okay.
Reminding folks when.
Okay.
I'm very happy when we've held it, how many students show up.
Yeah, I bet that'll pack the house.
Yeah, it's always a nice little crowd there, just to come and see it. And so the Declaration of Independence comes from the state. They escort it down in police escort and show it. So
a lot of pomp and circumstance.
It is. Yeah, there's always a lot of fun things.
Oh, that's.
But again, if anyone is sitting at home and saying, "Boy, I'd like to learn more," they love the area that they live. Because one thing that you always get, well, if I join the Historical Society, what's it going to do for me? Kind of like what's in it for me? Yeah. And that just drives me crazy.
I hear a lot of that too. What value do I get?
And we don't get that often. Don't get me wrong. But you sort of put back and say, I don't know, do you love your town? Because I'm not getting paid anything, believe me. And but we're trying to keep it, not keep it, but improve and educate. And do what we can. If we try to find a problem, and a few years ago, I'm really proud of this, that the Friends Meeting House at the top of Quaker Hill. Yeah. It's the Quaker church. Yeah.
They're on.
It's right across from the town hall.
Right on Headley.
Right, the corner of Headley.
Yes.
That's the oldest Quaker. Newport stole it from us, I guess, but you can debate that it's the oldest Quaker church in the world, in the country, and it was up for sale. Right when COVID started, I'll never forget. I think it was like March 7th about that day. We held an open house there, trying to gain momentum to try and save the church. We helped coordinate with attorneys.
feel like I remember that.
Yeah, and found out that the church actually owned it still. They couldn't, the people who wanted to sell it couldn't sell it, and here we are. But when you walk in that church, I hadn't been in that church, but when you walk in there, you can just feel the history. You can feel, it's an experience. So we're going to start holding some more events there with those folks, with the church, congregation.
I can feel your enthusiasm. Like,
Yeah.
were you a history nut
No,
always?
not at all. I liked history growing up. I've always enjoyed learning about history, and yes.
So then what's the bug? Because so right now you're the CEO of Ocean
State Air
Solutions,
Right,
right? So
yeah.
clearly doing some business. So where's the history come in for you? Tell us a little bit more about you and how you got in so into this.
I honestly don't know. I think it was just it bothers me when I see something that's dilapidated and not being used, and that could be used put to good use. I think that may be what it is, and I just see what's happening. I've lived in other areas in the country. I lived in Charleston. I met my wife in Charleston, South Carolina. I see the history down there and what's available. We moved back here about 27 years ago now, I guess. But
Okay.
in
Is this where you grew up?
I grew up here.
Okay.
From the time I was 10 through high school, and
Okay.
then moved, came back 27 years ago. But it's something to do, I guess. I love history. I'm always curious as to what's going on, and I mean,
Yeah,
isn't it kind of neat to know that you can tell somebody that there was a German spy on Hen Island now,
Yeah. Yeah, right?
and that
It
there was a
is.
mansion there. Because when you see some of these, it's amazing when you see some of these old pictures that, people don't know.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm always just blown away by the open space too, when you see those pics of, you're like, that was East Main Road or what,
Well,
like,
one question last night was about what was the major product of Hathaway's farm. Are you familiar with what Hathaway's farm was, or orchards?
well, no.
It was orchards.
Okay, so it was
Okay.
orchards.
Yeah.
Apples,
Peaches.
peaches.
It was
peaches.
supposedly like one of the largest in the country, peach orchards in the country. So if you look at the old, the old DEM building that's right near the old Ramada where
Yeah,
the Roger Williams,
Yeah.
that was a Hathaway barn.
Oh, goodness.
So where Montauk Country Club is and where Route 24 is right now, those were
Yeah.
all orchards, peach orchards.
Oh, that's
And if you go to
fascinating.
Hathaway School and you look at it looks like an apple, but I would assume it's a peach.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
it's on their emblem.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's like cool stuff, right?
It is. It is.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. So listen, we have just a minute left. Tell me the thing you're most proud of in under a minute.
Most proud of.
Yeah, for the Historical Society and your role there.
The volunteers.
Yeah.
I really love everyone that just helps out, and I thanked everyone at our last meeting. That it's a unique person that steps up and helps, and that does something. It doesn't matter what they're doing. If they're just opening the door, they're opening the door. But
Yeah.
there are so many people that just don't. So I really appreciate anyone that volunteers for the society, or for any organization for that matter.
Yeah.
Because it's such an important part of our community, and the town really relies on volunteers like yourself to help push things forward and make the town better, and keep
I
it
love
going.
it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Craig,
Thank
thank
you,
you so
Conley.
much for coming on the
Hope-
show, and I
thank
hope you'll
you.
come back really
Hope I
soon.
didn't talk too fast, but
It was perfect. This has been Portsmouth This Week with my guest, Craig Clark from the Portsmouth Historical Society. We'll see you next time.